Hey ladies, welcome back to my channel. As you can tell by the caption of the video, today we're going to be doing a fall freestyle set. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and hop right into the tutorial. Make sure to comment, like, and subscribe. As always, I start by pushing my client's cuticles back to expose the entire nail. Now I'm going through around the cuticles, I guess I should say, with my cone shaped drill bit. This just helps expose the entire nail and get rid of any dead skin cells and any excess that we just want to get from underneath the cuticle. It's nice to do this because it does help prevent lifting, and we want to make sure that the entire nail is ready for proper prep. Now I'm going in with my 180 sanding band, and I'm making sure to get around the cuticle again to get rid of the excess that we exposed, as well as go around the entire nail, which gets rid of the natural oils that our nails produce. This is really important because those natural oils will prevent the acrylic from bonding properly and will lower your retention rate. So you want to make sure that you're just briefly running your sanding band across the natural nail to get rid of these. I did go ahead and skip the process of me gluing the tips on because for this tutorial we are focusing mainly on the fall freestyle part of it. So if you want to see more detailed on that, then definitely check out some of my other videos. But for now, we're just going to skip that part. Here I'm going in with the same sanding bed and I'm blending the nail tips with the natural nails. This is a really simple step, but it's very important, so make sure to not leave that out. Now I'm going in with my Nia Secret Dehydrator, and this just helps get rid of those natural oils one last time. And now I'm going in with the Young Nails Protein Bond, and this is literally a bonder for the acrylic. It helps the acrylic bond to the natural nail. I do apply 2 coats. It's totally optional. You only need to apply 1, but I do 2. I feel like I've experienced better results ever since doing that. So it's totally optional, but so to start off on the pinky, we're going to be doing actually the pinky and the thumb. And I'll go ahead and let you know now that I don't film the thumb just because I'm showing you the same process that will be on the thumb done right now. So the pinky and the thumb are going to be a brown ombre. This brown is from Sugar and Cream. I think it's in the color mocha. If you have watched my videos before, you know that I am a really big, huge supporter of Sugar and Cream. It is probably my #1 acrylic company to shop with right now, and you can find them on Instagram. So yeah, not a not a paid promotion or anything. I'm not getting paid, or they don't even know who I am. I just simply really love their products, so definitely go check them out. But for all my ombres, this is optional. Some people just go ahead and ombre it right away, but I like to apply my first color first and then I let it dry and come back and do the ombre. For me personally, I just feel like it blends better and I like the outcome of it more when I do it that way rather than just ombre it all at once. So again, do it how you please, but this is how I like to do it. On the ring fingers, I'm going to be doing another ombre, but in this instance we're going to be using orange glitter, and then of course going in with a nude as well to do the ombre. As you can see, I'm applying a bead of clear, and I do this because this helps the glitter acrylic adhere better, if that's the right terminology to use. Basically I just feel like it sticks better versus just applying it to the natural, well, the bare nail tip. So I just apply a very thin layer because you have to remember that not only are you ombreing, but because it's glitter, you're going to encapsulate it, so that's going to add even more acrylic. So you don't want to make it too bulky during this step. So I just applied a thin little bead of clear, and then I do go in and pick up the glitter with small beads of clear, unless the brush is still on the wetter side, then I just kind of go ahead and pick up little pieces of the glitter as I need and place them where I can. This is actually really simple. I know it can look a little difficult, but the hardest part about this part, or this design I should say, is just getting the glitter in the spots that you want them, and that really has nothing to do with like you per se. Sometimes certain glitters are just more stubborn than others, so definitely just take your time and make sure that you have your glitter set exactly to where you want it, because once you apply that clear acrylic to cap it, that's where it's going to be. So just take your time with it, don't rush it. As you can see, it might be the littlest spot that I want to cover, and I just pick up one little piece of glitter and that will fix the whole little issue. So just make sure you're taking a look at it. And here I literally take a very small bead of clear, and this is not my encapsulation bead. This is just a very thin bead to hold the glitter in place, because it does have a habit of, when you go to ombre, it will brush off. So putting a very small bead of clear over top of that will really set it all in place, just enough for you to go back in and do your ombre in your cap and not have to worry about any of the glitters falling off or getting wiped off. So on the middle finger, we're going to be doing an ombre nail with some gold foil. Honestly, I just took a lot of my fall favorites as far as colors. So I did the same brown that we're using on the pinky and the thumb. I did a nice like pumpkin orange, and some clear, and a little bit of a yellow that I have also, which you might see it, you might not, because of the orange. They were kind of fighting against each other. So I think I mainly just went with the brown, the orange, and the clear. But as you can see, I'm literally just placing very wet beads of each acrylic, just alternating between the clear and the orange and the brown. And I'm literally just placing them on the nail while they're wet, and just taking my brush and swirling them together. Notice I say swirling and not mixing, because you don't want to mix the acrylics. That's not the mindset you want to have when doing this design, because literally you'll mix the colors and it will just be one color rather than have like a marbled look, if that makes sense. So I went ahead and just marbled them to my liking and my client's liking. And while the acrylic is still on the wetter side, I am going in and grabbing those pieces of gold foil. You can pick those up with small beads of clear, but 9 times out of 10, you can just pick them up with a wet brush. The acrylic does not have to be like loose. If you feel like it's dry and the gold isn't sticking, you can literally just dip your brush in some monomer, wipe it over the spot you want the foil to stick to, and it will stick. But again, you got to kind of treat this like the glitter that is on the ring finger. When you do go to like encap it, sometimes the foil can get wiped off. So you just want to be a little careful. And I do go in right away with a bead of clear, just so I don't have to worry about accidentally wiping that off or anything. You just want to work lightly with these beads. If you apply too much pressure or work too heavily, the foil will wipe off. And if it does wipe off, it's totally okay. Just, replace it and apply a little bit more clear acrylic. But if you work lightly, as you should be doing anyways when doing the application, then you won't really have that problem. And I'm making sure, as you can see, to wipe the sides of the nails as well as the free edge to really keep the square shape. If you are a returner to my videos, you know that I always preach that working clean and neat during the application process saves you so much time in the end. So I definitely recommend doing that, as well as making sure to wipe around your client's cuticle area, keeping everything nice and clean. That way no acrylic is left on the client's skin. If you know about nails, and if you don't, I'm going to tell you now that will cause lifting. So you want to make sure that the client's cuticle area as well as the skin is completely clean and clear of acrylic. As you can see, I'm going to be using about 3 beads to cap this, and that's not totally necessary. I just do that because, again, like I said, if you work too hard or apply too much pressure, I guess I should say, the foil will wipe off. So I just like to work with a few smaller beads rather than 1 or 2 big beads, because the bigger the bead, the more you have to work it. And I feel like if you're working it a lot or too much, the foil will come off. So I just work with smaller beads when capping like my foil nails. That way I can just make sure that the previous beads have time to set a little bit, and that I can work neatly and carefully, not making sure that I'm not moving that gold foil underneath. And this actually turned out really cute. I mean, the whole set was cute, but I really love the gold foil with the marble look. I think that it just really, the marble makes it subtle, but the gold makes it like classy, and it really makes it pop, like just the perfect amount. So I really was happy that I was able to come up with that on the fly. So now we're going back to the glitter nail, and we are finishing the ombre. I do take a medium-sized bead. You don't want it too wet, but you definitely don't want it dry. You want it right in the center, well, right in the middle, I guess I should say. That way when you ombre, it is smooth and it will flow easily and blend better. Now in this case, since there is glitter, you don't have to stress too much about the blend, because obviously you're going to be able to see the glitter, but making sure that you're working with a medium-sized bead and a bead that is right in the middle of wet and dry will allow the glitter to nicely blend with the nude, and kind of just look like it's just coming out of the nude. As you can see, I use 2 beads, and I always do that. I sometimes even use 3 when I'm doing my ombres. The first bead is more so to focus on the blend, and then the second bead is to build up the apex and to make the blend even more, I guess, neat. As you can see, if there was only 1 bead, it kind of would have looked a little too opaque or see-through. So adding in that second bead and patting it down and feathering it downward definitely does just add to the ombre overall. As you can see, I'm still making sure to wipe around my client's cuticle area, because especially when you're using those wetter beads, it is so easy for the acrylic to seep over onto the client's cuticle, which will cause lifting. And once it's dry, it's a whole process of getting that off. So might as well just go ahead and be clean and neat now. I'm not saying this to be like sound like a neat freak, because obviously nails get messy as anything does. So it's easy to, you know, kind of for that to happen, but just be mindful. Because trust me, it will save you a headache. But as you can see, I went back to the middle finger as I'm letting the ombre dry. And I did just go ahead and add 1 more bead of clear acrylic. I do always say in all of my tutorials that you want to make sure that you're constantly looking at your client's nails from different angles and going back to check them before, you know, finishing the entire acrylic application, just in case you feel like you want to add any more beads of acrylic or need to, you know, change something before getting to the filing process. So in this case, I just wanted to check that nail, and I did feel like I could add 1 more bead to kind of help build up the apex a little bit more. So that's what I did, and it turned out really good. So now I'm going in and capping this nail. As you can see, I'm only going to use 1 bead here. Well, and I'm going to add a little bit more towards the bottom, but the nail is already perfectly built up prior to the cap. But you don't want to not cap the nail, because when you go to file, not only will it mess up the blend of the ombre, but it will start to take off some of that glitter. So capping it is really important. When working with this chunky glitter, or anything that's being encapsulated for that matter, you want to make sure that the entire nail is capped. If you leave anything out, it will come off 9 times out of 10 when filing, because it's out there and it's not encapsulated. So just make sure that you're taking your time to actually look at the nail and make sure that everything is in the acrylic. If you are wondering how you can tell if it's not capped, most of the time it will be too obvious. You'll see it sticking out of the nail compared to the rest of the nail. But sometimes, you know, they do a good way of hiding. So if you see like any shine, any sort of color, like the whole nail should kind of look a little smoky, if that makes sense. Of course, once you apply the top coat, it'll get the glossy, nice look that we're going for. But if you see anything that has a shine or a glare to it, then 9 times out of 10, it is not fully encapsulated. So just take your time and be mindful of that. For the pointer finger, we're actually just going to be doing a solid brown, and I'm going to add a gem in the end. I really love this acrylic, you guys. I know that if you are a returner, you're so tired of me bragging about them, but as you can see, it just applies so smoothly, like so buttery. It's just perfect. It doesn't get stuck in the brush. It's not runny. It's not too thick. It's literally the perfect acrylic. Like, I've ordered at least 40 colors from them, and I've never been disappointed. So it just makes the application process so much easier. As you can see, I'm already, well, only on my second bead, and the nail is just, it just looks great. Um, of course, like I always say, make sure to wipe the sides of those nails on the free edge to keep that nice shape. And you don't, I know I just said this previously, but you don't want to make the nail too thin and you don't want to make it too thick. A lot of people think that just because they slap a whole bunch of acrylic on the nail and it's nice and bulky that it won't break, but honestly that does just as much damage to the nail as if you were to apply not enough acrylic. So just make sure that you're taking your time to build the nail up. The most important part of the nail is the apex, which is where the natural nail and the nail tip meet. Kind of think of that as like the heart of the nail. Without that nail tip being on, there wouldn't be any extension, like there wouldn't be any length to the nail, there wouldn't be any nail. So that is why that is part is the most important, because 9 times out of 10, if the nail is going to break, that's where it's going to break, obviously, because that's the only thing that's really holding that acrylic on in the first place is that nail tip. So you want to make sure that the apex is nice and built up, and you can tell by definitely looking from at your client's nails from a side angle. That will also help you when it comes to the other nails to let you know if you need to add any more acrylic or if you're in good shape. Foundation is the most important, you guys, so just make sure that you're taking your time and really looking at your client's nails before finishing this part of the nail process. So now we're going in and doing the brown ombre. I could have been come back to this, but I'm just now doing it, so it's okay. It doesn't really make a difference. As you can see, I applied my first bead, and like I said previously, that is to really do the blend, the main blend. Now I'm going in with my second bead to just kind of add to that blend and help it kind of extend a little bit, if that makes sense. I'm not working too hard. You do not want to apply too much pressure at all, because it will just totally mess your blend up and it will take the acrylic off rather than blend it. So you want to work really lightly. I think I already mentioned this, but just a brief reminder, making sure to wipe the client's cuticle area, because when doing ombre, since the bead is a little bit wetter, like I said, it is so common for it to run over. So just make sure you're paying attention to that and try to catch it before it dries. And as you can see, it looks really, really nice. I did want to go ahead and add in another bead right to the apex area for the brown nail, just because I felt like it could use it. Another thing that you want to make sure that you're remembering is when it comes to the cuticle area, definitely make sure that you are not applying the bead right at the cuticle area, because that will just cause flooding. I'm not really going to go too deep into that, because you've already heard me say multiple times what will happen if the nail floods. Again, in the acrylic, flooding is basically acrylic getting on the client's skin or on the cuticle. We all know, again, that will cause lifting. So you want to place the bead slightly below the cuticle, because as you pat it down, feather it down, it will move up to where it needs to be. Again, like I stated earlier, I'm not going to show the thumb. It's the same process as the pinky, and I do encapsulate the pinky and the thumb with a small bead of clear, just to really protect that ombre. So now I'm going in with my 80 grit file. Not really a big fan of this one. It's weird because the white ones and the black ones are both 80 grit, but these ones just feel weird. Like, as you can see, it's getting my shape pretty sharp, but it doesn't feel like it is, so it's weird. But anyways, as you can see, I'm just filing the sides of the nails straight up and down at a 90-degree angle. You want to make sure that you are pulling your client's skin back. As you can see, I'm making sure to hold the sides of her skin, because these files are sharp and they will cut your client. Like I said, I'm using an 80 grit file, which is pretty sharp. You want to make sure that you're keeping the file straight up against the side of the client's nails, flat up against it, and filing up and down at a 90-degree angle to make sure that you're making the sides of the nails super nice and clean. As you can see, I'm kind of taking the file and swooping under the sides of the nails as well, and that's really important, because once you are applying the acrylic, especially using the method of patting against the sides of the walls during the acrylic application, it does cause acrylic to seep underneath the nail, so that can make it look really rigid or lumpy, have product underneath the nail, whatever the case may be. So you filing underneath the nails does help clean that up, and it does make a difference in the shape. It's very noticeable when the top of the nails are good and the bottom is not. So definitely make sure that you're getting that area. As far as the free edge, that is super simple. It's the same process. Obviously, it's just holding the file in a different direction. You want to place the file straight up and down at a 90, straight up against, the client's nail, and file it up and down at a 90-degree angle to make sure that you're keeping, make sure that you're getting the nice crispy shape. I tell people all the time that no matter how cute the design is, if your shape is off, it will literally throw off the entire nail. So you want to take your time in this. Don't rush it. As you can see, I kept it really clean during the acrylic application process, so I don't have much to do here. But shaping is really a major part of the set in general. You know, if you go out and you have an okay design but the shape is on point, 9 out of 10 somebody's going to be like, wow, them look good, versus the design is cute but the shape is all off. They're not even going to want to look at them, you know. So here I am looking at my client's nails from a different angle. I had to adjust my light so you guys could really see them, but they're nice and clean, really sharp, really square. So now we're going to go ahead and go in with our e-file. This is a ceramic drill bit that I use, and it's fine grit. Yes, fine grit, I believe. And if you're somebody that wants to use the ceramic drill bits for your e-file but are scared, they do have safety bits on Amazon, so definitely give those a try. I really recommend the ceramic bits over anything else. I just feel like it gets the job done better and overall gives the nails a better look. So in this step, this is really important because we're doing two things here. We're sealing the cuticle. That's super important because it does help your nails prevent your nails from lifting, as well as it smooths the entire nail out. No matter how perfect your acrylic application is or how good it is, sometimes you still can have a little lump and bumps, and especially when you're doing the encapsulated nails, sometimes those get just a little bit thicker than I like. So I do like to make sure that I am taking my time to smooth it out and bring it back down to a really nice foundation, a really nice look. Making sure the thickness, like I said, is not too thin, but it's not super thick. Sealing the cuticle is super easy, but it's very important, so make sure that you're taking your time on that. You literally just want to take your file from one side of the cuticle to the other. The whole goal here is not necessarily to take acrylic off. It's just to make it look very flush with your client's nail bed and make sure that it is nice and smooth and even. You guys got to bear with me because I'm literally filming this voiceover at 1 a.m. and I've been up since I don't even know when, so I'm kind of getting tired tongue, so bear with me. Y'all know what I'm trying to say. Anyways, so yeah, the goal here, like I said, is not to really take off acrylic. We're just smoothing it out and sealing that cuticle, making sure that it's nice and flush, allowing our client to come back for that 2-week fill. Another thing is you want to make sure you are keeping that file moving. Leaving the file in one spot for too long or applying too much pressure will cause friction. So you want to make sure that you're working very light-handedly. Your file is not going too fast and making sure that you're keeping it moving. So now I'm going in and doing the easiest step of all, buffing them. You want to make sure that you're getting the entire nail around the cuticle area, top to bottom, left to right, and the undersides. And this just smooths the entire nail out, making sure that we eliminate anything that may have gotten onto the nail from using the e-file, such as like scratches or blemishes. So this is a really simple step. I don't record the next step, but I do take my cuticle oil and I go around the client's cuticle as well as the undersides, and then I have them go wash with soap and dry. And that's really important because I feel like it really helps get all of that dust, just everything from filing and the e-file completely off, and gives us a nice clean base for any nail art that we're doing or any charms. So definitely just keep that in mind. I recommend it, and definitely have your clients use soap. I know the nail salon says no soap. I don't know why, but we use soap over here. We gotta have the nice, clean, fresh nails. So anyways, we did add some charms. I did not film that part because they were last minute. Besides the pointer, we planned that. We didn't plan the pinky. So we threw some flowers on them, threw that heart charm on there, and this is the finished result. So that she is ready for fall. They're so cute. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. As always, comment down below if there's anything you want to see. Make sure to comment, like, and subscribe. And as always, thank you for watching. Love you guys.